Let's just see what the charge was. Oh, it should be fine. Oh, it should be okay on charge, I think. It's time to get a bowl loaded and all that shit. There we go. Float. It feels nice to be refreshed and re-upped on my boat. Especially if this fucking pinch my fucking neck. Whatever soreness was in my shoulder, like, traversed right up to kind of where my neck is now, so that's just fucking great. Doesn't feel that bad. At least nowhere near as bad, but fuck. My back is just being fuckity. I don't like it. Lame. Get screwed in there. There we go. I'm just hoping I can just like kind of sleep it off tomorrow and get loosey-goosey enough to where with a good stoner chance where I think it'll be fun. Yeah, what did I do? Okay. Ooh. Ah, that felt real good. That felt better. Well, definitely want to at least, like, get some folks in here, because at least, you know, a few people that I'm kind of a little privy about, because I want them to pop in for one of the topics I have for today, or at least for tonight. Because just straight up, like, hearing some of the scandalous stuff about, you know, happening in North Carolina lately has just been right up my alley right now. I've just been like, oh shit, dude. Kind of delved into it a little bit, and oh my god, it's I thought it was already bad enough with just like this Mark Robinson over here being just straight up like, oh yeah, I'm a black Nazi and stuff, but frankly, you would think, but that'd be like the bottom of the barrel. Oh no. Oh no. No. It's kind of fucking wild, honestly. This dude straight up is like some borderline fucking like Goon Sesh McGee kind of shit. Face stream name, I assume you saw the Kyle vid. I did more than just see the Kyle vid. Like, bro, dude, Kyle barely scratched the surface, man. Dude, like, what this guy is kind of into and shit is wild, bro. Like, because it's already bad enough he was saying that shit on, like, some porn accounts and stuff. But apparently, he also, in his hometown, where he used to live, like, he was maybe he still lives there. Like, he was a regular visitor 2 times a night, 5 times a fucking week to this porn shop place where they have like the little booths, you know, the little jerk off booths, the goon booths. And he would go there. And to the point where he even had a tab. Like he was in debt at this place and still is apparently. And he also used his same email and like account name for quite literally everything. Like, it's one thing, you know, if it's just like, yeah, you know, from basic social media, whatever, but, like, literally everything, from like random forums to like porn sites and shit. Like at least get a little variety. Like goddamn. Even I at least do a little variety. I mean, I kind of keep my, general socials relatively the same, but like, holy fuck, bro. Like, I kind of keep a DL with like some other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when it comes to like, if you have a porn account or whatever. Like, if you're going to do that, use a totally different name. It's just like, bruh. And some of the sites that he was on, bro, like, he would say a lot of that crazy racist shit, too, on this porn site called Nude Africa, too, where there would be, like, a forum section on that website where he'd be going off about this shit. And apparently, it's not real, but apparently he wrote on the forums, like on a anything goes, tell whatever story you want kind of shit, where he was fantasizing about, fucking his wife's sister and having an affair with her and shit. I say luckily it ain't real because his wife doesn't have any biological sisters or siblings or step siblings or anything like that. So single kid, so obviously there's no truth to it. It's just weird ass fanfic shit, bro. He was writing fan fiction of a literal fake fucking sister of his wife being like, I want to fantasize about her, and had like some weird piss kinks and shit too and stuff. Like, dude, and the bro is like kind of freaky as fuck, dude. He's straight up a freak. A kink freak. And he's a chaser. This dude is a straight up chaser. Like, I mean, not surprised. I mean, if he's a kink freak, he's obviously going to be a chaser, because on the same website, he would be like, oh my God, the idea of a trans woman with her dick still, and fucking another woman's actually kind of hot because it's not like the man's technically gone, and stuff, and that's kind of hot, bro. Doing shit like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, bro, someone be chasing. It's like, damn, dude. I mean, the guy is legitimately a straight freak. Like, talked about wanting to, like, bring back slavery and own a few. It's like as if his fucking ass won't be a slave himself if that were to be a thing. Fucking creepy ass motherfucker. During Obama's administration, he also like straight up called Martin Luther King during that time, like, get this crazy commie, out here with his memorial, at like, Washington or some shit, whatever the fuck. It was like during like, back in Obama's administration. I forget all the specific details. But like he pretty much called him Martin Lucifer, like, let's just say raccoon. You could kind of use the latter half of that word to figure it out. Like, and I'm sitting here just like, bruh, like, how is there like someone who has transcended Uncle Ruckus? Like, I think even Uncle Ruckus would have been like, a little bit less fucked about this. It's like, Jesus Christ. The dude is straight a freak. I mean, in his own right, yeah, a black Nazi. He is. And a kink freak. And a chaser. And a born-again Christian, too. So, and just straight up a goon addict. Like, a straight up porn addicted fuck, bro. It's like Jesus Christ. I mean, I just like wonder about like, some people sometimes, when it comes to like being so weirdly like just, I don't know, broken, I guess. Like it's like the fuck you even like say to that shit, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck. He also has like a fucking like Amazon reviews on different things too. And his most recent one was back in July for like gynecoplasty like t-shirts and shit. Ones that are supposed to kind of like, compress the chest for dudes and shit, like for bigger, heavy set guys. And like, and he had a review of that as recent as July of this year. And it's like, dude, my boy's trying to like slim up. And people found his YouTube channel because he has a fucking YouTube channel that was reconverted into his campaign, thing. But and is privated and taken away a few things. But people have been able to use the Wayback Machine a little bit, before he switched things up a little. And dude, he straight up had some, random ass shit, like just the most random shit. He would just have like some random 70s stuff, like the Fat Albert, theme and intro. So fan of Fat Albert. And also would have like a random playlist dedicated to like weight loss shit. And one of them was about how to like pack in shirts very tightly for like, small luggage space and shit. Which for a big boy like him, I'm sitting here just like, aw. If he wasn't like glorifying Hitler being a weird Nazi, chasey, weird fucking closeted weirdo, like, I mean, I almost feel bad for him. But, I mean, I guess on one hand, there's nothing really to worry about him outside of just to make fun of him, full Mark Robinson, just because, like, he's already well behind in the polls over there for, being governor and shit. So it's not like, this is hurting his chances any more than they already, have been hurt. Because there's already been, like, assumptions because this whole defense of like Hitler and shit was going on even before this shit came out. So people already were speculating about his weird takes because at least then I think there was like a weird sense of plausible deniability. Even back then, he was overtly defending it. He was just dismissing it as like, oh, well, I guess history books are racist and Nazi now because they quote Hitler. And it's just like, dude, that's not the point, you fuck saying. Like, you can, like, quote Hitler all you want, but, like, if you're using it as a point of agreement because you agree with it, then that's where it's an issue, my dude. My guy, that's where it's a problem. So, it's, I mean, like, that he, already was pretty much, like, yeah, black Nazi, basically, but at this point, he really just outright confirmed it. Honestly, just because, like, a journalist at Politico just kind of wanted to dig a little bit. He just, and realized, oh shit, his account name for an email is pretty much tied to fucking everything. I mean, if you're running for office, you should have, like, separate emails and accounts for shit, dude. Like, I'm not, so I don't really need the necessity for that. But you're a politician, my guy. Even before you're a politician, I can get that. But, like, don't use those accounts anymore and then change up your email and change up shit. So when people start digging into your public, political information, then they ain't going to find your private, personal information, at least when it comes to your emails and stuff. And thus, won't be able to tie you in. Even if they did find that shit, then you can have way more ability to have deniability because, like, well, these are my accounts, and, like, and these are totally different things. Like, I don't know who these are. Like, because he's doing that. Like, he's trying to deny everything, but there's really no plausible deniability. Like, he just, it's just straight up him. It's just him. He also has, like, accounts on random little, like, minifigure boards, like, because he collects, like, German World War II minifigures and figurines and stuff like that. So, because his account name on pretty much almost everything is Mini Soldier and, like, a couple numbers. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, like, he's a figurine collector. Like, I mean, my boy's got a lot of hobbies, and it's like a very heavy poster on the internet, but also a gooner and a kink freak. I mean, hey, honestly, like, if it wasn't for his weird Nazi background, I would think he's honestly weirdly kind of based. But because he's a right-wing freakazoid and a conservative psycho nut and a Nazi, pretty much, I mean, fuck him. But if it wasn't for that, I would think, dude, would any of this really hurt him? Because I'm thinking, like, if it was, like, for example, if it was, like, me that was in a situation with my politics how they are, I would just be like, yeah, okay. Oh, no, yeah, I said some, like, kinky shit and being like, oh, it's so hot. Oh, no. Yeah, he found one of my personal fucking accounts, out there on the board and shit. But, hey, I got policies that people seem to love, and I'd rather focus at that type of shit. So what do you want? I'm owning it. I ain't going to apologize for it. Got nothing to hide on that one. It's like, goddamn. But still, it's just, people are just fucking freaks, dude. I mean, Mark Robertson is a freak, not because of his kink shit, or even his hobbies. Like, whatever. You know, you got your hobbies. They're fine. But, my dude, he's got, like, some self-black hatred shit going on or something. Like, that would be my only guess, actually, honestly. Like, because, like, you know, like, legit some Uncle Ruckus shit. But he's, like, almost ascended beyond that. And it's like, dude, how? How do you somehow, like, ascend, like, art? Isn't art meant to imitate life? How do you go to, like, beyond that? It's like, fuck. Up. Little doggo. Oh, I'm surprised. He didn't eat all your food. He didn't vacuum up every little kibble. Shocker. Normally he does that. Goofy little thing. A goofy little swim boo. Well, here, I want to see if I can get Rose in here. I want to hear what his take is on this shit. So here, hold on. Okay, there we go. There we go. Hey, get the music back. There we go. There we go. Oh, actually, I just realized I saw another notification. Oh, one of my friends on the screen. Maybe I'll reply to him really quick. Let's see if he'll... Okay, there we go. For some reason, it just simply says, text me. But just simply said, I'm doing a stream on here, but if he wants to pump on, he can. Because I can't exactly just text him immediately. Besides, like, about what? You can't just, like, you know, leave me, like, kind of hanging a little bit like that and be like, oh, I kind of want to know what I'm getting into with that. Swear to God, if it's about, like, money or something, I'm going to be like, bruh, I'm already giving it 20 and I'm budgeting right now for other shit. Anyway, I got, like, you know, money crunch savings I'm doing here. But even for, like, tipping out of the bar, I'm going to kind of, like, not, you know, purposely, but, you know, tip a little less. I usually do, like, $10, you know, instead, like, 15 or something. Just so I can kind of use that as a way to, you know, help save a little bit more money, just so I can, you know, make sure I got stuff saved for, you know, some shows and, you know, then, you know, from Minneapolis, shit like that. So, but, you know, all in due time when it comes to those type of things. And New Mexico, too. So, that would definitely have to be something to eventually get planned out. Doggo! You little butt. Look at you. Your neck fluff is just so fluffy, dude. It's ridiculous. It looks like you barely have a neck sometimes. It's ridiculous. Goofy little ball shenanigans. Get this nice little bowl ground up and stuff. Stuff is definitely very stemmy. So steamy. What you doing, lazy bones? Just kind of looks like he's like kind of dazing off, like. Look, he's just doing that. It's just so weird. It's just a weirdo. It's a weird little goofball. Little string bean boy. Anyway, get this little bowl loaded up and all that shit. If anything, kind of keep popping in on about the like this fucking like absurdity of these conservative shit. Because dude, I was kind of watching another clip like on Nick Fuentes, because that weird little like string bang of a fuck boy, has been like really adamant about like Trump's lost the plot. Fucking, what was the whole point? Jan 6 and regulation stuff. If you're not even gonna acknowledge it anymore, blah blah blah. Like, and pretty much like denounced him for like a month, and then not that long ago, of course, because like Trump is pretty much going more Naziistic and shit when it comes to like his xenophobia and a lot of his like shit that he's like propping up when it comes to random bullshit. It's just like straight up fucking like, and now full in on this whole idea. It's like, yeah, he's back, baby. He's like, he's finally back on the right track, and with people like Laura Loomer in there and all these other people, make sure they say the right things to him and blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, you inconsistent little shit. Well, I guess he is consistent, but like this inconsistency of flip flopping like a fucking fish, and I'm just honestly surprised like he does have any followers and fans, but. Then I kind of remind myself these weird Nazi racist goiper fucks, just straight up could give a fuck about like any of this like shit when it comes down to, like consistency or any attachment to reality, because these weird fucks are just utterly detached from reality. They think like Jews literally fucking run everything, for fuck's sake. Just absurd shit. And then it's like little like weird like bullshit with like these like hey she's eating cash shit. It's like, how in the like actual fuck is like any of that able to be like considered like mainstream shit when it's literally backed by like an overt like Nazi group called a Blood Tribe, which is just straight up sounds like some unironic LARPy fucking bullshit that like some edgy 14-year-old made up for his like fucking D&D, campaign or some shit. You entered the dark forest or you encountered the Blood Tribe. So ridiculous. It's like you, but you're a different kind of ridiculous. A lot of it also is just like, honestly, even also just like beyond fucked up, just on the virtue that like Springfield, Ohio pretty much was known as like a backwater and just like a crumbling shithole, frankly, just to be blunt with it. And for like the past like 5-something years, give or take, a lot of these Haitian migrants who have legally, been able to come here via work visas and different programs and shit, have been able to, boost a lot of, the economy in the, in the local area and boost, Springfield to the point where it actually, can be considered like an actual, like uplifting, kind of prospering town again. And a lot of these like random bullshit fucking stories, it's like riled up a bunch of racist motherfuckers into thinking that like this is just like, something that's just commonplace now, apparently, just out of nowhere. But I mean, even the more fucked thing is, it's like this kind of shit. When I was looking into it, it's like been going on even back during like the fucking 90s. Like they were saying that about like different, like Korean migrants have like come in, but before, they said this about like fucking, Haitian migrants during the 90s too at the time. Like it's been a very consistent fucking thing. So it's not even necessarily like a new phenomenon with this whole idea of like cat eating, pet eating. It's like it's an old fucking weird fearmonger, but it's just being brought back now again. Which, shocker. So I mean, I'm not really too surprised by that, unfortunately, just because a lot of this like xenophobic, like racist shit that's just saying like continuously propping itself back up and being really heavily fucking normalized again. There we go. Sweet. What are you looking at? You big furry little dome? Good lord. A goofy little string bean indeed. I just realized I don't have any trees for it right now. Damn. I forgot to grab a couple. Didn't really have any like at work stored up or anything, but I kind of forgot to make sure I grab like some pork buns and shit like that. Fuck. I actually did realize I forgot some rice that I could have put in this food bowl. I did realize that. Well, at least it would be seen as innocuous because then it'd be like, oh, someone didn't want it and forgot to put it back or whatever. Whatever, it's just still be innocuous. It won't be that big of a deal. But shit. That could have been his little treat tonight, but I guess not. Unfortunately not. Oh, goddamn goober. Just a little damn goober. Oof. That was a harsh little hit. Damn. Damn. I like my little buddy from earlier was just like, hey, text me, but then just doesn't not respond to me. It's like, damn, bro. could have popped in for a minute. I mean, it still would have been a text, just more directly. It's like, come on, man. Could have popped in. Could have. But, definitely seems more like kind of a quiet night tonight, though, for sure. Which, I mean, outside of this like silly fucking scandal of fucking Mark Robinson and shit, I mean, there really isn't that much going on all in all. At least not that I'm like, aware of, at least with news. Because it doesn't really like seem too much, has been going on. But there's been like this whole fucking like, kind of meme about these like pagers and shit too. Because like Israel did a fucking massive like kind of terrorist attack of like thousands of fucking pagers and shit in like Syria and Lebanon. And which I'm honestly kind of surprised pagers were even still a fucking thing, to be frank. I didn't even really think those were a thing anymore, but I guess they still are. So, but like, and pretty much at this point, there's been like kind of like straight up as per usual, like just a continuation of war, or at least an acceleration of murmurs of war and shit. When it comes to like Lebanon and Israel, which I do really honestly think is probably going to happen here pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, like in October or some shit, just right before the elections happen. Or maybe afterwards, potentially. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to really tell. But I think if it were to happen before the elections, there would be more of like this push about like the uncommitted vote, about the whole situation, which may potentially hurt Kamal, especially in states that count. So, it's hard to tell, but it's, as far as I could tell, definitely kind of imminent, when it comes to some of these fucking things. And I'm definitely going to be so excited to have those fucking rants. I'm so sick of this, like, fucking, like, Zionistic fucking bullshit that continues to get, like, pushed. Even, like, on here now, algorithmically, like, I'll, like, check out different posts and shit that, are tangential about, like, what's going on for, like, Palestine or Israel's doings or shit like that. Or just happens to be kind of tangentially related to it. And people just, like, it's, like, always, I would think it would probably be bots or some shit, to at least a certain extent. But it's just like, there's always like these motherfuckers being like, oh, you got like the Free Palestine bots, and it's like we all have to stand with Israel, blah blah blah, also horse shit. And knowing that how like the Israeli government, Amazon definitely has used AI and automated bots and shit before in the past and concurrently, it doesn't really surprise me that type of shit's just boosted everywhere whenever it happens to be noted or related when it comes to like highlighting specific kind of words and shit, especially when it comes to the topic of of Israel and Palestine broadly. There we go. What you doing, baby? A little bit, but I still do have some pork buns left over for him. I do have 2 pork buns in the fridge. And he could have cold pork buns. That would be fine. One little pork bun. He's got those ears perked the fuck up because he heard pork bun. Pork bun? Yep. Yeah, he knows the word. Shit. I might grab those for him in a second. Oh. But he can't be laying in the middle of the fucking laundry room like a big goober. It also is actually a bath night for him. Which also basically includes me by proxy, but he definitely is going to get one for show. Because little fluff ball needs it. I think at least after a little shower night, I'll have to like kind of see what little shampoos I need to restock on, because I know I'm getting low on a few of them. So I want to make sure he gets re-upped on all the good shampoos to make you feel good. Leisure bean. Leisure little bean indeed. At one of these points, I gotta have to like catch him with just like chilling in his chair, because he's been sitting in his new chair and just making his little throne. and it's really adorable. Oh, that felt so good. Oh, that felt good. Man, I really want to try to get my neck, but I know that ain't going to feel good. Yeah, fuck. Why can I feel exactly where it is, too? Sorry, when I go to, like, these metal shows and shit, especially, like, it's always, like, in the same little spot. I wonder if I just got, like, maybe, like, the tiniest, slightest little misalignment or something going on there or some shit. Not, like, a severe one, because normally it's not bad, but every now and then. Especially if I sleep on it wrong, because fuck, dude. Ooh. Oh, that felt fucking good. Oh, I at least helped stretch it out a little. Oh, I did pop something and that really felt good. Whew. That felt fucking great. Holy shit. Oh, I think that did help loosen it up a little bit. Oh my god. That actually just felt fucking good. That felt good. Now some good shit right there, I'll tell you what. You know what will make this endorphin rush feel better is taking this little bad boy up. I can see like how long this little quiet night goes on for. Because I might just make it a little bit of a short one if it's quiet even. Lazy dog. I'm trying to think of whatever little silly things that I've been kind of cruising around for today. At least, you know, when it comes to like random bullshit. Kind of went down with the whole fucking Mark Robertson shit. I still can't honestly get over that, to be honest. That dude is a fucking legit freak. I still can't get over that. I mean, I just like wonder like what the fuck goes in for the mind of a dude like that, to be honest, because I really don't get shit like that. Because I'm not a right winger, I'm not conservative or anything, and obviously I'm not a black person. And mix that to the point where you're like a far right extremist nutball, to the point you might as well be like a Nazi because that's what you say you are. Then it's like, what the fuck, dude? It's like, I mean, I don't even know where to even begin. Because I don't even understand how that could even be a thing. Like, how's that even a possibility? How's that just like in the Rolodex of like different, you know, personalities and characters that exist out there in the world, dude? It's like, how's that even a thing? I just can't get over that. Because honestly, for a long time, I thought it was basically just like, you know, Jesse Lee Peterson or some shit holding that mantle, but nope. Oh fuck, dude. I mean, now I just realized there is kind of some historical shit to it too, a little bit, because like during like the slave trade era of America, I mean, there were fucking like like the favorite of like the slave masters, so to speak, where they will like be like in the mansion, so to speak, be like the butler and stuff, like in Django Chain with Samuel Jackson's character, basically. It's like that guy. I mean, and it's like, fuck, dude, man. I guarantee that's where a lot of it kind of comes from, where it's like, well, you just had to work hard to, work your way to the top a little bit, and you can be treated with respect. And even though, you're still in this position and this caste system, blah, 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 whatever weird way they try to justify it, it's just like, I guess in a weird fucked way, they think that's like meritable or honorable or humble or something. And think the idea of like slavery as like a part of the broader like class system is a good thing, which just fucked as it is, America still's got that. It's called fucking it's called private prisons, especially, but it's just called the prison system in general. I mean, it's like if Mark Robinson really wanted to have like a bunch of slaves, like he was saying in his weird fucking like sex porn forums and shit, then you should been like the CEO of a private prison firm. There you go. Would have been easy for you. Just be a cop. Man, it's like the motherfucker, dude. And also, you get a lot of these, cops, as well, that do the same type of shit. When it comes to like black officers. I mean, it happened. I've seen that type of shit in Portland before. And I've seen that type of shit. When it comes to a lot of these barkeeps, a lot of these different stories have happened before in the past. When it comes to these fucking pigs. So I mean, it's not like I guess as fucked as it is, it's not like like a rare idea, I guess, for this to be the case, but it's definitely kind of on a little bit of a spectrum, a little bit. And Mark Robertson is literally the most extreme version of what that is, like to the point where he ascends, being Uncle Ruckus, basically. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, when I say he's a freak, I mean he is a freak. And what's honestly even more annoying is that Josh Stein isn't, who's running against him, in the Democrat side. It's not even like he's even really like great or anything. He's definitely better, obviously. But I mean, but he's just basically like, centrist, kind of like, Dem. Like, he's not even really like great necessarily, but he's definitely going to be waves and waves better than this motherfucker. Which, I mean, what? What? You disagree or something? Shut up. Which kind of ties into like something that that kind of grinded my gears a little bit from earlier, because I was listening to List Mafia. There's only 3 of them. It was just Matt Binder and then David Dole from the Rational National. It was just those 2. But I sent like a little a member super chat thing, because you don't necessarily have to pay money for that or whatever, and from Mike's version of that stream, and because he wasn't there for some reason, I don't know why, but he was, but they were talking about Sean O'Brien's speech from the RNC and stuff, and and like and like trying to like kind of speculate why he did it, and and with the Republicans not being in the best interest of labor, and Democrats being somewhat a little better about it. I couldn't really follow up with their shit with it, but I know there is a chance to where I could probably talk to Matt Bender about it, because he was the one who really disagreed with me on it, and because says like the reason why Sean O'Brien was doing that, because there's a lot of blue collar workers who are more conservative leaning. I mean, like that might listen to that. And labor politics, transcends, the whole D versus R politics, when it comes to like electoralism and shit like that. Because, blue collar workers, get boned by both parties. I couldn't put that latter half in it because if I was able to truly explain it, I'd say that like the reason why I did that is because he knows there's a lot of like truckers, a lot of like blue collar workers that are more conservative leaning that might be on the road or something listening to their local news station, which is inherently right wing as fuck and usually has conservative radio hosts and shit, talking for news. I would know. I listen to it a lot. When I happen to be in the car with my dad or whatever the fuck. Like 101.1 has Lars Larson and a few other fucking right wing hosts. Like Dana Loesch is another one. I mean, it's like these motherfuckers are on air here all the time. Like, so, Sean O'Brien got invited there by Trump directly, mainly, not, and the Republicans and the RNC actually weren't really too privy and happy about that. And Sean O'Brien took the invitation because, like, hey, I'm trying to appeal to blue collar workers and, I'm going to use whatever platform is available to me. That's kind of, his, thought process of that. And that's what he did. And the DNC didn't invite him mainly because he went there. And honestly, DNC should have invited him anyway and say, hey, we get that you went over there and talked to RNC, but you want to make, an argument, with the, with his speech at the DNC. You want to talk right after Sean Fain or right before Sean Fain, or something like that. Or you talk, or do a speech, this day and Sean Fain does it on this day. You could have done that, but he never got the invitation for it. And and he even said like, hey, I'd be down for it too. I because labor politics, doesn't inherently mean like, oh, I'm for this or this party. Like historically, labor has been stabbed in the back, more times than not. So when it comes to affiliating themselves, when it comes to like these party line politics, and that includes today too. Like, yeah, maybe Dems are definitely better, about various different aspects of labor, especially maybe on certain state levels. Like here at Oregon, yeah, it's way better, because, the Dems kind of run shit a little bit, when it comes to labor. And it's actually grown a lot around here. Like, I've been noticing, like, kind of a lot more labor union advocacy around here more often than not, to where it's actually kind of refreshing. So, I mean, it's like where there are, kind of some of these Dem strongholds, the more that this is able to prosper, so it's not like I ain't even going to dog on that shit. But you can't also just say, oh, well, talking to, the RNC or whatever. It's like, it's not about the fucking lobbyists and the shareholders and all these rich fucks that are on stage, but there are also maybe a few, like, blue collar types that might, saved up some money to go check it out or something, because they got invested this year or whatever the fuck. And there are also people that will listen to it on the radio or maybe when they get off work, check out Fox News or whatever the fuck and listen to it. It's like, I mean, the whole point of him doing that is to just get at least a few of these motherfuckers to at least listen to that pro-labor idea and be like, I think that man's on something. And I guarantee you a lot of them probably Teamsters themselves. And, realize, oh, that's my union president. Maybe this whole union thing is actually something worth, listening to. Because, I'm sure a lot of them probably think, I'm just saying it because whatever. I'm only in it because I need to, or I'm obligated to, because I hear a lot of that too, even in my own workplace, because I'm in a union job too. And there's conservative leaning, people that, kind of bitch and moan about having to be in the union, blah, blah, blah. But, it's like, but once they kind of, I think, have a click in their head, sometimes that just means like the broader sphere of their confirmation bias. Sometimes, that might be Republican leaning. If they get that message in that and it gets them to be like, maybe it ain't so bad after all. And it's just like, I mean, and that's kind of the point of what he's trying to do. Like, and that's at least, when I was trying to make that super chat on Leftist Mafia, it's like that was the point I was trying to make. But I don't think they really got it. But it's just hard to put that in a chat, where you're limited, versus actually like explaining it and talking to them. Which I at this point I definitely want to see if I can maybe or maybe not get on their show. And I really want to honestly like kind of talk this labor politics a little bit because I think I got a little bit of a unique perspective as a leftist about this. I mean, honestly, because I'm not just like, fuck this, it's like, it's not that, I'm way more reasonable about that. But I'm also still jaded about it too. And I don't think that can be necessarily disregarded. And, when I see an opportunity to where leftists could maybe take advantage of, it's just like, I think that, like, it would be something that, would be worth at least considering, even for me, I don't even necessarily agree with every little thing about, Sean O'Brien's approach with the whole, speech or with his visits to RNC. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, he's still got to butter up, conservatives a little bit. I mean, so so I can kind of understand where maybe that comes from, but I don't agree with it. I don't like it necessarily. And I do think it kind of sours his, like, his public appearance, and I do recognize that. And I think that's the reason why I think a lot of lefties, don't like him anymore. But, whatever, it's just like shit. I started hitting my own side full period jumpers. Dude, that's kind of what I'm, kind of critiquing a little bit. I mean, it's like, we don't have to all agree on, like, specific ideas about how we go about shit, or even when it comes to, like, maybe left-leaning leadership, so to speak, like Sean O'Brien being part of Teamsters when it comes to the labor side of that front. But shit, I mean, we have to at least, fucking do something about that. I don't know. Dr. Still beyond tired of hearing pals. How come on? There's some not good for the spectrum. Well, that's a whole different thing. But I mean, that honestly, especially for me, is like, frankly, a lot more like understandable of resistance about this shit. And when it comes to criticism of Democrats, because the thing is, like, Biden's done fuck all. Like, I don't even know what the fuck he's doing. Like, he's still president, and he's still supposedly, should be doing shit, but he ain't. He's just kind of poofed. Yeah, and and Kamala could definitely, certainly, kind of swoop in a little bit, between a little bit. It's not really serious crunch time now, so it's a little too late for, like, hey, let's do some shit, as a VP and, like, kind of swing some shit. It's a little late for that now, because it's, like, 5 weeks until fucking the election now? 6 weeks or something? It's kind of hard to, like, put in a couple days to be in the White House to kind of, go behind Biden's back and shit now. Keeps going back to the beginning of stream randomly. I've never had that happen to me before. This last time Green won anything. Do you realize, like, how, like, pretty much on the virtue of money, like, how completely bought away, when it comes to any potential opportunity to get on the ballot, the Green or any those, just Green Society, like any third party is able to, get in. Like, pretty much at this point, the closest that's ever really gotten to that is Ralph Nader, and I think he ran as an independent. So I mean, like, just take the grains out of it aside. Like, the fact that, like, our system pretty much purposely shuts out any remote chance for a third party to get on the ballot kind of, I think, explains a lot of it. Like, it's, because there is, I think, a potential spark to have, like, a genuine third party, position and framework, to be established, but, like, it needs to be from scratch. I don't think having, like, one of these pre-existing ones is necessarily going to be, the way to do it. It needs to be like, like a new modern version of, like, a workers' party, basically, or like a labor party. Like, call it, like, the Progressive Workers' Party, or honestly revive the Farmer Labor's Party. Get, like, a little bit of that world, like, farmer labor, because that was, like, a big labor party. That was, like, basically the party equivalent of the labor movement back in the day. And the Farmer Labor Party, was actually kind of a pretty, significant, party, as a third party way back in, like, the early 1900s and shit. Well before the duopoly, fucking, shut out any third party anymore, mainly because of shit like that. So, if anything, honestly, I'm more of kind of like an advocate if we're going to do a third party. Let's just revive the Farmer Labor Party. because you could kind of, get a little bit, some of the blue collar work, and workers, in the rural areas to be like, a little bit, maybe kind of be palatable with that, have a little, cross sectionality there a little bit. But, on the economic aspect of things, it didn't have like, progressive labor and also progressive, worker slash, just social elements, and social justice as well incorporated to that as, too. But I'd argue maybe depending on state by state, maybe some should probably prioritize, specific things over the others, maybe as well, just because, if the idea is to try to get, like success in, a third party movement, you maybe like, let's say like a farmers labor party in, I don't know, Tennessee, maybe having a lot of the more like social justice aspect of things, maybe on certain things, when it comes to being tied to economics, like, agricultural work, like, when it comes to migrants working the farms and, nationalize some assistance and becoming, an equal worker to everyone else. And, with the union being a part of their back and shit like that. As of Cesar Chavez kind of shit, kind of like use it, like use what social justice aspects, can be tied into those economic factors. It's like a linchpin to be, to make it agreeable to where it could be a bridge for everything else. But, once that gets established, then you have that bridge to where you can kind of, build more of an opportunity to, advocate for everything else. And for somewhere like Oregon, if a party like that were to be a thing, I mean, the whole social justice element wouldn't really be a problem if it was like, on the more priority forefront. That, because these pre-existing parties, are either just, just don't have any opportunity, to really do really fucking anything outside of just basically have a few people use it for influence points and shit. Even if maybe they are merited in what they're trying to do. But at the same time, it's just like there's just a lot of shit where you got like, like the Libertarian Party, where they're pretty much just kind of a front for the Republicans to just kind of like, kind of temper some of the more extremist elements in the Republicans by, making the Libertarians seem palatable to them. Libertarians are disgusting, by the way. I ran an age limit, abolish Libertarian. I'm sure you can go. Was for no shit. She's only willing to label someone a war criminal if the ICC agrees. I think it's pretty obvious Putin's a war criminal. Well, yeah, he is, no doubt about it. And I also did check out what you were talking about, Venom, and yeah, I thought that was, there was some Weasley shit about that interview. But I also, like many you saw, because he's critical as fuck, dude. Missed a quote. Oh, I did? Oh, my bad. So Scientific is more nuanced than Venom's comment, but still shitty. Well, we don't have a decision, put it this way, by the International Criminal Court. Well, that's still Weasley as fuck. Yeah, so I still don't like that. But, the thing is, that's a part of that interview because it was with Mehdi Hassan. Like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember that quote. Yeah, that's what I mean. Still Weasley, and I don't like that. And it did honestly just kind of made me lose respect points for her, to be honest. I mean, and I also don't really respect Cornell anymore because he's too much of a narcissist and whatever the fuck. I don't know what his deal is. Like, I mean, I don't know, dude. She's a firebrand. She should be willing to call a spade. I don't trust Cornell at all. I know. I mean, I've lost respect for Cornell, bro. Like, and honestly, growing up, especially when I first got into politics and hearing about him and his background, I used to love the fucking guy. I still kind of like him, but I definitely don't respect him nowhere near as I used to, because it's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, did somebody in the Green Party or some shit really do you down dirty or something? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, why? Like, he's really making whatever happened to him, personal and just like burning bridges left and right. It's like, what are you doing, dude? And supposedly, it's been, taking money, or at least his campaign, it's been taking money from a Republican donor or some shit. So I'm just wondering, what the fuck is that about? Does he even know about that? Or is he naive about it? Or is he aware of it and doesn't care? So, I mean, he's kind of, I don't know what the fuck is up with him, dude. The only way I don't vote for Harris is if Biden drags us into a war. I was actually making this kind of prediction a little bit because of I know what you're mentioning about the whole like terrorist attack in Lebanon with the pagers. I know about the pagers. That was also in Syria too, by the way. And yeah, I do think honestly, if I got a kind of a little bit of prediction. I think it's either going to be uh, before the election, sometime in mid to late October, or maybe just after the election cycle. I guarantee you, there's probably going to be some shit that's going to pop off. I won't blame Harris for Biden's choices. I kind of wish she's the vice president of his administration. She certainly has got sway, considering that pretty much in his entire administration has got sway over his dementia Parkinson's addled ass that just poofed off, somewhere into oblivion. VP has no real power. Only when the administration makes it that way. And considering that she pretty much is like the DNC's golden girl right now, like she's got a lot of power. She's absolutely got fucking power right now, dude. I don't buy this idea that the VP just doesn't have any real power. Because remember fucking Darth Cheney, dude? Like the Bush administration was practically ran by his ass half the time. And he was vice president. VPs can't have power, if their administration, sees fit for it. Or if, the head of that administration, is just too senile for it. I mean, Reagan's administration would have been that way if it wasn't for the first lady. She technically might as well have been the first female president because with the last term of Reagan, with him being an Alzheimer's addled old fuck, she was running shit. She was calling the shots as first lady. Like, she might as well have been our first technical female president if you really want to, debate it, I guess. But I don't want to count her as the first female president because fuck her old wretched cunt ass. Just say no to drugs. Yeah, fuck you, wretched bitch. Fucking Thatcher of the fuck America. Well, Reagan was, but, she was the side, the side version of that. Foreign policy is always a weakness for both sides, at least from a leftist perspective. Well, I guess. But then again, Americans, broadly, there's so, because foreign policy is, global, right? So there's so much fucking shit to consider and think about that sometimes you just, even when you are somewhat knowledgeable about a thing, you kind of forget shit because there's also shit going on here. There's an election happening over there. There's some shit popped off over here. Civil war just started down there. Genocide happening over here. China doing this, Russia doing that. It's it's almost like an info overload. You kind of get info overload, and sometimes even if you might know some chops about shit, it just kind of bloop, it just kind of pops out of your head for a little bit. The border was always overblown. Tons of astroturfs film. They're super hard for me to take that shit seriously when Trump's focused on little Nazi shit. And the Democrats are willing to pretty much go Republican Bush administration style with the border too. That shit's just kind of a lost cause, what it seems like, as far as I'm concerned. There's Dems are, pretty much being oh, border, let's get tough on the border because, those Republicans want to be tough. Well, we're tough. It's Jesus Christ. Didn't one of the Roosevelt's wives make a decision for him when I was sick of polio? Yeah, kind of. I think I know what you're talking about. FDR. Because his wife, actually, Eleanor Roosevelt, she actually did have a strong role to play in his administration for women's suffrage and women's rights, and kind of taking at least some charge on the women's work program and stuff like that, the WASP program as well, the women's air service shit and whatever. So it's he only had one wife, Eleanor, and she had a lot of power. Well, I think he's meaning one of the Roosevelt's wives, either, Teddy or FDR. And it was FDR. Yeah, she had a lot of power and was a major pro-worker advocate. She, was honestly legit a bad bitch. And I mean that in a very positive way. She was fucking awesome. She was great. I mean, honestly, for a first lady, she's a badass. I love her. Also, funny enough, in Hearts of Iron 4 for the Kaiserreich mod that you can get, if you play as the syndicates, in the American Civil War that happens in that, game, you can actually have her as a president of the United States, or at least, the combined syndicates of America. Well, I think at that point, if you do the, the shit right, it's actually technically called the Commonwealth of America or something like that, but it's kind of cool, like, to kind of see like a portrait of her being president and be like, yeah, it's like, hey. Because it'll be kind of interesting to see what, she would have been like as a president if she had the power that she did just as a first lady. I think I'll have for an insanely specific route happens in game. Well, I happen to have taken that route naturally because I was just playing a normal game of, playing, as a combined syndicates of America, and I guess I hit the right notes because I got her as I got her as president. And I was just like, fuck yeah. I don't know whatever happened to FDR specifically. Would he be the first man, I guess? Would he still be alive at this time? He would be, actually, because I don't know. Fucking knew Van was going to bring up shit with Roosevelt. FDR died in game. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did die in game. Well, and then, yeah, as soon as he mentioned it, I was like, oh, wait, yeah, that's right. I forgot how, but yeah, he did. Here, just make sure I didn't miss any comments. Where she becomes president instead of fucking Truman. Dude, bro, if she became president instead of Truman, that would have to happen during an election cycle. Because FDR died, in the middle of his term, his fourth term. So, dude, well, would America be ready for a bad bitch like, Eleanor Roosevelt as the first, American president? Was America ready for a Madam President? Wasn't America ready for Madam President at that time? Sadly, I don't think so. I mean, she could have tried. She could have, made the effort, but I sadly don't think that would have worked. As much as I wanted. Dude, honestly, I'm not even going to lie, bro. That would have just been the most awesome thing. Probably a no Cold War if she had to replace Truman. Well, that probably, yeah, sadly would still be inevitable, but I think, the United States probably would not be as heavily involved in that. It probably would have been a little bit more cooperative with the Soviet Union on certain things. They probably would still have a slight standoffishness because of their allyship with, like, the West, and shit. At least when it comes to the United States foreign policy. But I think that would at least be more of maybe like a mitigator and like kind of a neutral side, about it. At least that's what I would think. Because, I mean, FDR didn't necessarily have like the most positive opinion of the Soviet Union, but he had at least like a somewhat of a respect, with it a little bit. Like, I mean, he was pretty open about giving a lend-lease to them and cooperating with them, at least to an extent, when it came to fighting the Nazis and shit. So, and that was even before, we got involved in the war. Or, well, actually, wait. No, never mind. No, the Soviets got involved after we got involved. We just weren't in Europe yet. Because the Barbarossa invasion was in 42, and American got involved in 41. We probably would have sided with Germany. Well, if it was FDR that was alive during that presidency, I don't think we would have. We probably would have just stayed the fuck out of it. Because how proactive Trotsky would have been versus Germans. Sure. Well, because Germany was still building up its shit. But honestly, I mean, probably not the US's strong allies to DK. They were going to get hammers. Well, yeah, because we were doing lend-lease with the United Kingdom for a long time, and also sending volunteers and shit well before we even got involved. We had like American-based squadrons do different air wings, with the Brits. Like, I think we even had our own American air wing over in the United Kingdom in the Battle of Britain well before we got involved in the World War II directly. Same with the Flying Tigers in China. Like, we were involved with World War II kind of well before America was officially involved in World War II. We were doing proxy intervention shit, sending volunteers, military shit. We were doing that for a while. We've been doing that shit for a while, and we were just kind of like on the slide doing that because, hey, the company's made some money off of it. And we had a bunch of surplus shit because no reason for us to use it right now until we got involved when Japan, bombed Pearl Harbor. That's the only reason why we mainly got involved. But then the war economy picked up, and all that shit that we had left over, it's like, well, we need a lot more of that. Let's get some more of this shit. Instead of like, Chrysler cars and shit like that, now it's fucking Sherman tanks, Webley Jeeps and shit. U.S. is strong as fascists needs to commit atrocities to make the world to hate it. Well, unless you're in America, then the fascistic, genocide atrocities that are going on right now, Israel, then, yeah, no, it's actually good. It's actually a good thing. Wait, hold on. I know I missed a few things here. This is going to sound fucked, but FDR was way more progressive compared to politicians say, so what if somehow the secret progressive candidates is politicians are married to their cousins? That'd be kind of weird, but yeah, honestly, a little fucked, but yeah. I mean, weird, but I think, hey, honestly, maybe those weird incest kink weirdos might honestly be on something. I just wish that 99% of them weren't fucking weird right-wing weirdos. I think Trotsky would improve things. Germany would have been on two fronts very early on and would have struggled to take France with more resources to defend off Russia. Well, the thing is, Stalin was doing the Great Purge too, and if Trotsky came back during that Great Purge, and a lot of the dissidents of Stalin, were to have died off, or not survived and sided with them, Russia would have another civil war. So there would have been a recovery point as well, where the Soviet Union is recovering from a second civil war, with Trotsky in power now, on top of doing this thing, which would mean that like the Soviet Union would be hyper industrializing, and pretty much like every man, woman, and probably even children would be like partaking in the labor force, building up, industrializing, partaking in the war front. Like every motherfucker that is like capable and would probably be like involved in shit like that. It would probably be to be kind of, unless like it happened naturally, without Stalin like sneaking into power anyway. Because Lenin wanted Trotsky to be his second-hand man. But Stalin got in the way of that because he wanted to be, the major head of the Soviet Union. He was a narcissist and a very hyper paranoiac. Like, so, there's a reason for the Great Purge broadly anyway. Like, Trotsky probably wouldn't have done that, outside of maybe like a few loyalists of Stalin and shit, with his weird paranoid ass. Because, him and Trotsky did not get along. They didn't like each other. The Allies might have been fooled to German propaganda thinking, well, I think this will only be the case if, like, Charles Limbaugh, would have fucking won, the presidency instead of FDR. But even then, the purge corrupted the Russians for a long time. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I suppose if Trotsky took power, we have to consider two things. Is it after, his exile, or did, Lenin ensure his, transition of power with Trotsky and shit? I guess that's kind of the caveat to that, because that does honestly make the difference here. Because, I mean, if it's like after his exile and he comes back and all that shit, then there straight up would be a civil war that would happen in Russia because of that shit. But if it was, like a transition of power after Lenin, I think it would just be like a mini purge with just taking out a few of Stalin and his loyalists, and everyone else just falls in line, which wouldn't be that many people. Would you have done his own purges? I guess I answered that question, didn't I? a mini one. I think, because he understood, because him and Stalin didn't get along, they didn't like each other, and he understood that he wanted to be a power grabby, like, kind of fuck at this point. It was a little paranoiac, so I think he wanted to just maybe just tie a loose end with that and not have to worry about a thorn in his side. A lot of older Russians still hero worship Stalin. Oh, I'm sure. I bet. I mean, in a way. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's deserved, but it's understandable. I mean, to the Soviet Union, or at least, today, Russia, I mean, World War II, it's kind of like almost like an individual thing to them, where it's called the Great Patriotic War. So, like, it's kind of a whole, like, national cultural significant thing, to Russia, to where especially a lot of older Russian heads, venerate Stalin being kind of like the main guy for that. Well, maybe younger Russians, don't just necessarily revere that, but just kind of that Russian nationalistic pride shit, which is definitely very strong there now. Because they still do the parades and all that shit and everything. But I'd say Stalin's kind of, falling on the wayside with a lot of that these days. Which, I mean, on the contrary, what a lot of people say with like, oh, Putin wants to bring back the Soviet Union, it's like, nah, he wants to bring back the Tsardom. And honestly, like, even a more sinister, disturbing iteration of it. He wants to bring, like, a Slavic Hyperborea style fucking, like, Aryan, Slavic fucking, Nazi-like Tsardom. Like, that's what he wants to try to do. I mean, it's honestly even more sinister in a way. The French and the British and Americans cowered before Germany. Only Russia stood between the world and fascism. I literally had a Russian friend told was taught Russia beat the Germans at bare minimum outside help. Dude, the Soviets literally had Lend-Lease programs having Sherman tanks, Soviet Spitfires, American P-40 Warhawks. Dude, the Soviets, for the first chunk of the war, desperately needed just shit sent to them. Like, they couldn't fight without it. Like, I mean, bruh, that's just stupid. So that whole national pride shit, I guess that validates what I'm talking about. Because, bruh, that, like, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like, the French, arguably, yeah, kind of cowered a little bit. I mean, a lot of them did fight fucking hard and shit. The British, I mean, they fucking, like, if it wasn't for their fucking fleet and just the consistent, like, just production on their Air Force, during the Battle of Britain, that, Operation Sea Lion at least would have seen, Britain, and the British Isles been invaded. Maybe not taken over, but invaded for sure. Like, that's why Churchill made his whole fucking speech. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight through the streets. We shall fight in the hills, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, like the introduction to Iron Man's A Society and shit, right? Like, I mean, like if it wasn't for the RAF and then all the volunteer forces from the Norwegian Air Force, from the Czech Air Force, the French, the Free French Air Force, like all of them, basically kind of blended in with the RAF for a while and had their own combat wings, and the signified they would have their insignia like on the sides instead of the English roundel, or at least like have their roundel side by side with the British roundel. Like, I mean, they, it was like a fucking unified effort of all sorts of volunteer forces, not just the RAF. And a lot of that shit was just on the bulk of like Hawker Hurricanes and Spitfires. But at the time, there was only like, ME-109s and, BF-110s and shit. And at least at that time, they weren't really as sophisticated and as badass as they, were later in the war. Like the BF-109 F4s and shit, like those things are pretty fierce, badass fucking aircraft. And the BF-109 Gs and the H models, those ones are pretty, fucking fierce too. But those models, the Emils, the BF-109 Es and shit, they kind of sucked ass. Spitfires and Hawk Hurricanes were able to kind of fly circles around them. Well, Hawk Hurricanes not as much, but definitely the Spitfire. The Spitfire had like 8 fucking machine guns in their wings, like scattered literally from the tip to the center. You know, just bees of 303s. You know, just fucking like scattered everywhere, just hitting you, being peppered. It's like, bruh. Last time mentions, I know. So it was where taught with all the pants down. They were modernizing when the war expanded to them. Well, because I think they were modernizing because of the war with Finland. Because before the war with Germany, they had the Winter War, and they were, I think, trying to modernize, and get some equipment and shit like that, to combat the Finns. Because the Finns had to help with, America a little bit because they had F-2A Buffalo, American-based aircraft, as a part of their Air Force, and British Blenheim bombers, and like all sorts of other aircraft, including German equipment too. So, and also they had like Finnish-made Mosin Nagants and shit like that. So even I guess by proxy, the Soviets kind of in the past have helped them a little bit unintentionally. So it's like they had like all this universal equipment and shit. So they were somewhat modernized as, in comparison to the Soviets at that time. So despite, this very Pyrrhic victory that they had, they suffered severely for it, and they really needed to modernize for that. So yeah, they were in the middle of, I think, modernizing, and industrializing, just because they had to realize, like, if we're going to be on our own, so to speak, right now, because we're kind of like the new game on the block, being like a leftist, communist style regime versus, the rest of the modern world right now, we need to up our game. And I think that's why, like, they modernized in the middle of what they were doing. And at least, despite all that, we're able to kind of hold their own for a minute. Moscow never got fucking taken over. There ain't no street battles in Moscow. Stalingrad was a fucking absurd bloodbath. And even despite that, with literal artillery and street battles going on right outside of factories, fucking T-34 tanks are rolling out with crews just waiting outside to be like, all right, here's a tank. Load this bitch up. Let's go. It's like, Stalingrad was insane. That shit was fucking wild. Stuff like the KV-2 was shown to be a match for the German stuff. They just didn't have enough of them to effectively take the war to them. Oh, yeah. Even the Finns caught one. And I think even the Germans, found one too, because those things, honestly, are just absurd. They're just absurd. Like, those things are ridiculous. Like, what is it, 152 millimeter or like 200 something millimeter fucking cannon just slapped on a KV-1 chassis? It's like, bruh. Beyond overkill. The thing is redonkulous. And the reload time on that is absurd. I'm not just saying that because of War Thunder, but the KV series are meant as bunker busters. Well, I know they were. Like, the KV-2 was specifically, designed and meant to be a bunker buster. Like, they weren't really meant to go after other tanks. In War Thunder they are, but, like in, real life, they were meant to be bunker busters, where those tanks would kind of roll up, find some bunkers or like, pillbox area and shit, and just bonk, fire that fuck you cannon, and just like explosions. If a tank happened to be nearby, it probably got fucked up too. Oh, Zukov locked himself in the laundry room again. Adorable. Might have also missed a few other ones too when it comes to comments. Oh, the Alice might have full vision there. Trotsky was super proactive and messages, so propaganda, example of evil. Evil! You know, I kind of wonder what, like, Trotsky thought about, like, Marx's, like, kind of somewhat anti-Semitic kind of perspective about things. I mean, because, like, some lefties don't really want to mention it, but yeah, Karl Marx kind of had a little bit of an anti-Semitic, view about things. I wouldn't necessarily say literally, like, some level of, like, a fucking Nazi, obviously, but just kind of like, oh, yeah, they have a lot of money, so they're part of, like, the capital class and blah, blah, blah. It kind of tied it into, like, they're just a part of the elements of capitalism and shit. So my guess is it's probably due to the, like, framing of, them being tied to, like, predominantly, like, running banks and shit like that due to, like, religious fundamentalists, Christianity, with historically in Europe where a lot of Christians, aren't money lenders or, money handlers and shit because that was seen as like a sin and shit. That'd be my guess. So it's like not really a severe version of it, but it's still anti-Semitism nonetheless. It's just not like, like I said, like, on the verge of like, they literally run everything. It's just more like, they're just a part of that because it's just by, necessity for them. So they just do it so bad. It's just kind of like, it's still shitty, but it's like, come on. It's like, come on. But I wonder what Trotsky ever thought about that, because I don't know if there is quotes, about any of that, or if he even knew about it or anything. I'm sure there's got to be like, maybe a quote. Because I'm sure he probably had to be aware, because if he was like a leftist and a Marxist himself, and had his own kind of like philosophy adapted to it, I'm assuming he had to at least be a little bit of aware about it. Be like, I disagree with some of this shit, so I'm going to like, have my own perspective, hence like, hence Trotskyism, right? Like my assumption is, I had to at least have been aware of it to some extent. I just wonder if there's like any quotes about how he felt about Marx directly. Oh, a little tangent, but if you're still in here, I actually, kind of want to like hit you up a little bit about like setting up a framework about like, when I'm going to be going down there in Michigan. Because my mom kind of hit me up about like maybe going down to Texas at some point, maybe later this year. And I told her that I was going to, visit New Mexico first and shit. So it's like, and I wanted to at least make sure I got that shit cleared up and ready to go and stuff too, because I'm pretty much outside of 2 more shows and then pretty much like, which is like going to Seattle and Sepultura and then Judas Priest of Sabaton next week. And then Minneapolis, which that's at this point all taken care of. So now at this point, it's just about like, now it's just about like, getting the New Mexico part now taken care of. So now I can think of the other trip that I need kind of like put a pin on a little bit, because I might be going to Texas again for a minute. Or maybe even before I go down there, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that's going to be work out, because Mom's mentions like, you want to go down there for Thanksgiving? And I know your shit's after Thanksgiving. So I'm like, let me figure that shit out right about. So obviously maybe not here, but at least, at some point I want to at least make sure I hit you up about that, because I definitely want to at least do that for sure. Sweet. Dude, Stone Jesus goes so fucking hard. Such an awesome band. The song was like straight up like 13 minutes long or some shit. Doggo. Lisa Bean. Bullshit. What a little turd. Okay, cool. Now I'll comment on the comments. Thought it'll still be a little popping a little bit, but a little burst, and it's like, and then just sudden death. See how it is. Well, kind of funny enough. Like an hour ago, I was thinking like, it's a slow night, meh. And then, of course, shortly after that, maybe that's the key. Maybe I should be like, it's dying off. Maybe I should probably like, and then all of a sudden just like pops back up. Maybe that's the key. Because I mean, that's what happened just there for a minute. So maybe I just do that every now and then, on slower nights. Maybe all of a sudden it'll just be like. I hope this dog is ready for a little bath tonight. I don't think he is, though. But he better be. He's definitely not going to like it, though, because he's always a stubborn little shit. Every fucking time. No, it's honestly annoying. It's like, man. Because it like, he will know, too. Like, I'll get my son, and I'll get shit prepped, ready to go. I'll get, like, towels in there. Get a fresh change of clothes in there and stuff, for myself and things. Make sure all the shit's ready to go. Then I'll start that bad boy up, But before I do that, I have to grab his ass in there. But he knows what's happening, so it will never go in there, and you'll just sit right outside of the bathroom, just lay there. I have to drag his ass in there, then close the door. And then start that shit, and then he just lays there about as far as he can in the corner of the door, and just lays there. And I have to pick him up and drag him, and he will like kick his feet out, and be like, so I have to like basically pick him up and just plop him in there. He's such a little bitch about water, bro. I bet it was like that, like 2022 October, like dive night with Rip City. That happens where he accidentally fell into the limit because I was messing around with him on the dock, and he fell in there. So Rip City had to take a second dive. That poor baby got a little trauma with water. I mean, it's nowhere near as bad though, because he will tolerate it, because once he's in there, he's like, all right, I'm in here. Including in the river too. Like if I'm swimming, during the summer, like earlier this year when I was doing that with him, I'll like carry him a little bit. And I just kind of let him on his own. He'll kind of swim around me. But then as soon as he takes a couple laps, he's like, oh, that's where the land is. And he just beelines it for there. And then he just sits on the edge of the, water and just like shakes himself off and just stares at me. It's like, it gives me this look of like, what the fuck, Dad? Such a goofball. Ugh. I bet the hot water is going to feel so fucking good on this pinched ass nerve that I've been slowly but surely loosening up. It's going to feel fucking good. That's for sure. And he better be ready for that little bath later. It's not going to be necessarily anytime soon, but it's going to happen for him. He's just going to have to embrace that shit. You know, now that I just thought about it, there is like a conditioner I really should have fucking bought that I forgot to get. Coconut conditioner. Because I'm totally out of that. Because I love using that type of shit, dude. Coconut conditioner, even as like a body wash or like, you know, for doggo or for myself, just in general, dude, that shit is banging, bro. Like, it's like, cause I mean, even though it's like conditioner, it's like, it's really good for your skin. Like, it makes it like nice and soft and shit. It's like, it's nice. It makes your hair nice and soft. Makes Sukoff like smell like a coconut. Like, you know, it's like, Sukoff, did you just fall out of a coconut tree? You know, it's like a little coconut, you know, daddy over there. Just smelling like a big old coconut ball. And being a gigantic, soft, fluffy, little plush teddy bear. He's just a goofy little thing. And when he's just like, you know, big, fluffy little softball and just smelling like a coconut, or like coconut lavender too. Because I have like this like coconut like oil extract thing too that I like to use a little bit, mixing it with some of the conditioner that I use on him and for myself too. And that stuff is really good too. I mean, I love that type of shit. That type of stuff is really nice as well. Because at least when it comes to my, you know, showers, especially, you know, when it comes to Sukoff too, I like to make sure he gets all manicured. Gets his little manicures. So I definitely need to get like some, you know, like nail clippers or something like that for him, because every now and then, like whenever him and I wrestle or like, you know, play around shit, he always wants to like try to like jump on me with his little feet, and every now and then he has like a nail that just like just really scratches into me. It's like, bruh. It's like we gotta trim that shit a little bit. Because for the most part, I never really have had to do that or have to deal with that, but every now and then, like, he will get like that type of shit, and I have to like use like one of my own nail clippers to kind of like, but because they're so, he's like a medium-sized dog and shit, like his nails are so thick, it's kind of hard to do that. So I'm always worried about like hurting him and shit. So I don't, you know, so I never really have trained him too much, but I just need to invest in, you know, falling like clippers from him. Oh, I should get one of those like, I remember like back in the day, this used to be on like, you know, infomercials and shit, where it's like, instead of nail clippers, you know, you should get like, it's like an electric thing where it is like, it's like a razor, but it like kind of rounds down, you know, their nails, you know, when it comes to cats or dogs and shit. And, you know, it's basically a trimmer, but, you know, or like an electric razor, but it's just essentially for, or whatever the fuck. And it's way safer and kind of better too, because, you know, then you don't unintentionally like break a part of their, you know, nail to where it kind of gets into the sensitive part. Like if you trim your own nails, and if you get it too short, you know, it gets a little sensitive. You know, it's like that. Because it's the same thing. You know, it's like our nails are not that much different from their claws and shit. You know, when it comes to at least, you know, the material biologically is like, what is it, like keratin or something like that? I mean, you know, like horse hooves are the same thing. Like a lot of animals are pretty much the same thing when it comes to that shit. So it's one of those things where, you know, like you definitely want to make sure, you know, it gets, you know, trimmed down a little bit, but, you know, if cut down too short, it kind of hurt. Why didn't you stop? I did not set the music to stop. Boo. Boo. Biff. Why, Dolph, you stop music? Was he fuck? It's just like constantly loading. God damn it. Bell. How's the music buffering but not the stream? How's that even possible? That's funny too, because like the music in the background is literally from YouTube as well. I have like a little playlist of this shit, and that wants to buffer, but this doesn't. That don't make no damn sense. Okay then. Whatever, I guess. That's definitely odd. I've never seen that happen before. Usually, if that does happen, it's like it kind of goes a little extra, but no, not this time. Weird. Weird. What the fuck, dude? And I sort of got like half of it is probably honestly on this phone, dude. Because, dude, this thing is, I swear to God, like the phone that I got right now, this guy might have its fucking own. And I keep fucking procrastinating, go back to my old one that got waterlocked. Because that one actually works really well. And Streamlabs actually works on that fucking thing. And so I just need to go back to that. At the same time, I do kind of like, this little bit sure gathering, doing shit like this. But I can do the same thing over there on the other phone. It just needs to be done. Needs to be fucking done. Just need to switch the SIM over a little bit. Because honestly, like, the phone ain't bad, but like, for concerts though, the mic quality is ass. I recorded a little bit from, especially the last show that I went to, recording a Testament and a Creator song, but the mic quality is bulk. Doing shit like this is fine, but bruh, the mic quality, if you're at a show, is bunk. It's like, okay, dude, I don't know what the fuck, but like, LG knew how to at least, make some decent mics on their phones, because like the mics on, that last LG and the ones I've had in the past, like, have always been pretty good. And it sucks that they don't make no phones no more. Found that out when I got this one. I was like, well, shit. Man, I should have got the one that was like 5G, because I bet that would have been better, but I didn't have the money for it. Fuck. At the end of the day, at least I know I have a backup phone. Because I can at least use this as the backup now at this point, now that I think about it. I just have to transfer things over, and that's going to be a bitch and a half. Oh my god. Ugh. This phone's a fucking nightmare and a half, bro. This thing's a nightmare and a half. Dios mío. Because sometimes, like, shit will just straight glitch the fuck out when I'm just, like, listening to something on YouTube or some shit like that. And supposedly this thing had, like, 28 gigs of memory, but, like, pretty much within, like, the first week or two of having it, it went down to, like, 5G. I'm like, bruh, how to go to that memory? It's I don't even understand it. It's like, dude, this thing is ridiculous. It doesn't even have, like, its own personal, like, gallery. Like, I have to literally use Google Photos for that shit. So I guess I have a way to at least directly upload everything that I've took pictures and videos of, but still, it's like, it's oh my God. I was never ready for the operating system when it came to this phone, because this thing is ridiculous. I'm not even gonna lie. I honestly cannot even believe that, music is straight still fucking buffering, even though there's like no issue with this shit right now. Here, let me do this actually. Maybe I just need it. There we go. Let's try that. Does that do anything? No, it didn't. Wow. Well. Love it. Love it. I love just the empty silence of just nothingness. Oh my god, dude. A reapy doo-ah. A reapy doo-ah. A reapy doo-ah, folks. A reapy doo-ah. Speaking of which, I actually, like, was listening to Trump's, like, town hall they did a couple days ago after his, like, second attempt, on his life or whatever the fuck's and all that shit. And dude, the first, like, 30 minutes of that thing he was asked one question. I don't even remember what it was, but he literally went on like a 30-minute ramble to where like the chick who was supposedly like, you know, meant to be like the interviewer, you know, for him or some shit, just sat there and nodded while he rambled endlessly. And I honestly don't remember what to. He was just like, oh, they've taken my life because, you know, all the elections and stuff, you know, it's like, you know, I only lost by just a slight sliver. But, you know, realistically, we all know what happened. Things happened, and I actually won. But you ramble about that. That's like one of, like, pretty much I think the only thing I remember out of the entire ramble. Like, I think another one was, like, I don't even know. Like, the dude rambles so much that it's like a gish galore for, like, and half an hour straight that, you know, you don't even really remember everything. It's just like the dude goes off on like some random incoherent MAGA uncle grandpa ramble shit where it's like you don't even really keep track outside of like a few little, you know, highlights, if that at best. It's like, oh my god, dude. The dude is just like going off on random shit. Like, it's just kind of going a reapy-doo-ah on everything, dude. He's just a reapy-doo-and-ah on everything. And it's ridiculous. It's comically absurd. Because, like, I mean, the shock is that people straight, like, take him seriously. There are people out there that honestly think that he's all that in a bag of chips and is, like, all there and shit. Like, and, yeah, that's the fuck thing. Because there are people so detached from reality, they see him as like legit, like some god king with like a throbbing heart on and like fucking a sick pack of abs and like a big masculine Greek fucking warrior or some shit. It's like there are people just that unhinged about it, bro. It's like, oh my god. This is why, like, you know, we need to like revitalize mental health care in this country and education and everything else in between, because holy fuck, bro. I mean, the Circus Soleil, like a lot of these, like, you know, right wingers always memed, especially back in like 2016 shit about like how it's a clown world and all that shit, but nah, they were the true clowns all along. It was all projection because like the real clowns are, I guess, the friends we made along the way in a weird fucked way, but also, you know, these motherfuckers projecting day in, day out, like endlessly, constantly, you know, and have now pretty much made our national politics a fucking clown show based on fucking the virtue of, you know, the go along, get along, you know, normalizing their bullshit and letting, you know, these weird freaks, you know, buy social media platforms like Twitter and shit, like with Musk. You know, it's hard to think about, man. You know, woke my virus. It's kind of hard to think about sometimes. You know, the woke my virus. It's kind of hard to think about. I lost my son. I lost my son to the woke my virus. It's like, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. A reapy doo-ah. A reapy doo-ah. But, you know, I think I just, you know, call it good for now. I have a little short one for tonight. Then get my little doggo and eye bath. Me some food, all that fun shit, and see y'all on the next one. All that fun stuff. So, peace out and toodaloo.